Radio WRVA, the voice of Virginia.
Hey, downtown rolling past Capitol Square, Chesterfield grind and everybody's there. Headlights moving only all the arrows. Rich has your back while the morning rolls. Wake up with Rich and win the day. Don't spend your morning playing catch up. Richmond's morning news keeps you on your way. 8 a.m. now in the day.
Boom, let's win the day, everybody. It's 8:04 this morning on a Friday, July 10th, year of our Lord 2026. Thanks for joining us here on News Radio WRVA. My name is Rich Herrera. This is Richmond's Morning News. Again, 8:04 this morning around Central Virginia. I'm just going to tell you, Super Dave laughs at me because I stay sometimes later work than I should. But there's a couple of projects that I'm working on. And we all know that Jeff has a passion for law enforcement. And I just admire that. And this radio station has been so good at giving back and being part of the community. And I kind of feel like I need to carry that on from the Alden A Road traditions of the shoes to everything we've done since then in the 100-year history of WRVA. So we're working right now, and we'll make a big announcement coming up on Monday. So, Jeff, his passion is supporting law enforcement, and I dig that about him. My dad was a cop. My brother's in law enforcement. I tell people I come from a family of cowboys and cops and crooks. So I'm very excited that I get to work with someone like Jeff who has such a passion for law enforcement. My passion, with my son going into the Marine Corps when he graduates in college, he's been working on trying to make this happen. It's been his he says it's his journey, and I agree with him. And I've learned so much about what these brave warriors do that's my passion now. So we're going to combine our passions, and on Monday we're going to make a big announcement. We're working on a major station promotion to support not only our law enforcement Leo family, we're also going to support our military family. So that's all I can tell you right now. We're putting the finishing details on this, but Monday we'll make a big announcement that we are going to do something together, Jeff, myself, and so a lot of other folks. And it's going to be more people in the building as well to celebrate, cherish, and support our first responders and our military with a major event here at WRVA. So just make sure you're listening Monday morning for that big announcement. And I think I'm going to ask you to get involved and help support our brave warriors and our law enforcement families. Okay, with that being said, it's 8:06 this morning on News Radio WRVA. Thanks for joining us. Coming up in about half hour from now, we'll talk with Governor George Allen. Interesting survey that comes out from CNBC that says America's top states for business 2026. Here's the full rankings. Ohio 1, North Carolina 2, Virginia 3, rated over Texas, Minnesota's 5. Very interesting. How legitimate is this survey? Virginia ranked number 3. Tennessee ranked number 9. Texas 4. Where's Florida? Florida was 8. Virginia above Texas, Florida, in Tennessee, yet I see all the businesses wanting to move to those 3 states. We'll talk about that coming up here with George Allen at the bottom of the hour. Let's get to Richmond's Morning News Brief. Here's everything you need to know going on around Central Virginia. Start with story number 1. The state chaos over the budget now is going to affect you and your kids. Boy, is this a mess.
Number 1. Welcome to Virginia, California, where Richmond dreams in Sacramento style. We got pot shops coming, lawyers funded, and a budget stacked a country mile.
All right, so the mess that we have out of the budget out of Capitol Square. By the way, I put that song out on YouTube. If you follow me, Rich for America, I also put it out on my Instagram and my Facebook. It's what I keep warning us, that if we're not careful, we're going to become California. And it looks like we're doing that just at warp speed. So here's what's going on. Remember the state budget mess? Louise Lucas fighting with the governor and Don Scott at Capitol Square. We're going to go tax the data centers. We need $1.2 billion for the schools. Some other stuff. Well, apparently that 1.2 billion never really got as much as the schools wanted to get there, because now we have municipalities and school districts that are asking to increase our sales tax by 1%. I thought all this was to fund the schools, and now the schools aren't funded. Somebody asked, where's the lottery money? I thought that was supposed to fund the schools. We're going to stay on top of this story for you. Story number 2. Scrambling over marijuana laws in the Commonwealth. We just talked with Tim Anderson, former member of the House of Delegates. Again, please don't CMIVA, but it seems that's what they want to do at Capitol Square. That's our second big story of the day.
Number 2.
Amsterdam does, a lot of tourism business, has a lot of benefits from having the cannabis cafes. San Francisco is not Amsterdam. I don't know if that's what we're going to see, but there may be elements of that here. And, that, again, could be part of our recovery. This will help them, we hope, find a more competitive business model to help them sustain themselves over time.
What I don't like about this legislation is that it permits indoor smoking. And I think that is going backward on our public health goals.
They're going to allow smoking inside. I don't like that. Vocal fry. Drives me crazy. Anyway, in San Francisco, they're now going to have Amsterdam-like in the red light districts, cannabis cafes. You can sit in there and order. Let's see. I'll have a latte. I'll have a bong of marijuana. I think that's what they call it. I don't smoke pot, so I don't know. But that's what they're doing in California. And again, starts in California, makes its way over here. So right now, everybody's trying to scramble to cover their rear ends because we had a huge mistake in the state budget that said we're going to repeal these laws when it comes to marijuana, and these laws go into effect. Problem is they misdated everything, and you've got a year, which is the wild, wild west. Now, according to Tim Anderson, they've tried to fix this by putting a Band-Aid over it with the Code Commission. Whether that stands up or not, I don't know. Bottom line is, this budget was put together at the last minute. This budget was rushed. This budget was sloppy. And now we see what happens when you get one-party rule. Good job, Democrats. Good job. Story number 3. Donald Trump flew to Turkey in one plane and flew out of Turkey in another. That's our third story of the morning.
Number 3.
The president gave peace a chance, but all bets now are apparently off. 90 Iranian military targets struck by U.S. forces in response to Iran striking 3 U.S. ships in the Strait of Hormuz. Now, the Pentagon confirms that U.S. forces have now struck more than 170 Iranian targets. The U.S. knocking out air defense systems, missile and drone storage sites, naval capabilities, and coastal surveillance, just to name a few, to go along with military logistics and infrastructure as well. And now the president says the regime is begging him to return to the negotiating table.
Okay. Here's the latest. Israel discovered a legitimate threat on the president's life in his trip to Turkey. So, out of an abundance of caution, instead of flying home in the new retrofitted Air Force One, and again, Air Force One is the call sign, the designation. As soon as the president gets in the plane, it becomes Air Force One. Gets off the plane, it loses that designation. So, Air Force One is whatever the president's flying. Gets on that big one that he got from the Qataris, but they say there's a threat, and people are like, what? The Iranians are going to threaten the president. Let's send him back in the other Air Force One, where is the older version of the plane. Here's the bottom line. I wonder if this is a wake-up call for the American citizens that, yes, we are in a shooting war with Iran, and yes, Iran wants to do us harm. I think a lot of people just got to assume, well, nothing could ever happen to us. There is a threat. I tell everybody, there's 3 legs to this fight. There's the bombs and the bullets, there's the economic, and there's the morale. They've taken it to us economic-wise. You see how much everybody's complaining about the price of gasoline, which affects our morale. So if you're telling us you're telling me they can't lay a hand on us, that's not true. That's not true. And maybe that'll get people to wake up to what we're really facing in Iran. By the way, is the U.S., they didn't go back after Iran the way they did the last 2 nights on Tuesday and Wednesday. Thursday, it was a little bit lighter. But we are learning that they did take out some key infrastructure points for the docks and the ports in Iran, especially around Karg Island. And this is not getting much reporting, but you'll hear it here on Richmond's Morning News. Apparently, they took out some huge rail spurs that they were using to ship oil by rail that they couldn't get out through the ports because of the blockade. They've been trying to run them through India and Russia to get them offloaded so they could sell it wherever they're going to sell it.
1 minute.
Those rails have been destroyed by U.S. Attacks over the last few days. So the Trump administration continuing to have talks with them, but we'll see what happens. All right, that's story number 3. Story number 4 is Virginia open for business? That's our 4th story this morning.
Number 4.
So CNBC says that Virginia is one of the top places in America to do business. We'll talk with George Allen about that because I don't know how this adds up. I mean, the governor said, hey, we've got all this business coming in. That a lot of that was brought in by Glenn Youngkin and Juan Pablo Montoya, who had been the Secretary of Commerce for the Commonwealth. The big one was, of course, Eli Lilly coming into Goochland. But since the governor's taken over, I don't know if that's really necessarily the same climate we have for business in Virginia. Anyway, that's the top stories in the Commonwealth this morning. Coming up, we'll talk with Governor George Allen about all of this. Are we open for business? Are we really open for business? Do you see businesses pouring in here? Or do you see businesses like Boeing? They already bailed on us as soon as this year. All right. Number for you to join us on the James River Air Text line, 833-804-1140, 833-804-1140. All right. Today's program brought to you in part by our friends at Men's